Welcome back to the Rider's Perspective channel. Today we gonna talk about the 10 do's and don't for motorcycle maintenance. The most important motorcycle maintenance tasks you need to know about. Taking care of your bike with regular maintenance is a must if you want your bike to last. Follow these tips to take care of your bike. 10 do. Lube the chain. You could argue that there are no indispensable parts on a motorcycle, but you can have the best engine and electronics, wheels and tires, suspension and brakes, but go nowhere without a drive chain to the rear wheel. A chain takes huge punishment, even more so if it is wet, or you are riding on dusty and sandy roads. But even though modern O-ring chains are infinitely better than older non-O-ring chains, they still should be inspected, cleaned and adjusted if necessary, and thoroughly lubed frequently, every day in the winter months. A well-adjusted and lubricated chain will not only put less strain on the engine and gearbox, but will make the bike smoother, and the chain and sprockets will last a lot longer as well. 9 don't. Cut corners. Parts and accessories can be expensive, so the temptation is always to go for an alternative or non-standard part that costs less. But they cost less for a reason, usually because they are inferior, and today's motorcycles are so precision engineered that any departure from specified tolerances can affect the bike as a whole. If need be, save up for a bit longer to afford the right parts. Also, don't cut corners when undertaking routine maintenance jobs. Using the wrong nuts and bolts or the wrong spanner, wrench or other tool for a particular job, any oil other than the manufacturer's recommended oil, the wrong brake fluid. It's not just about protecting the value of your investment. You'll get a sense of pride at having done things right, as well as making the bike as safe as it can be. 8 do. Check the oil level. Obvious, you might think, but it's amazing how many riders won't give the oil a second thought between services. Oil is literally the engine's lifeblood, and without it, things would go very wrong, very quickly. Most modern engines have a small sight glass on the crankcases somewhere where the oil level can be viewed, although some will still make do with a dipstick on the filler cap. Always have the bike as upright as possible to get an accurate reading, and preferably after having sat for 10 minutes if the engine has been run, to allow oil to seep back down into the sump. Resist the temptation to put more oil in than is recommended, just to make sure. Engines will run perfectly with the correct amount of oil, and too much could cause problems that could be expensive to fix, not to mention messy when the excess is ejected through an engine breather. Doing this right can even influence your motorcycle's fuel economy. 7 don't. Start a job without making sure you have the right parts and tools. It's so tempting to dive into a job with enthusiasm because you can't wait to get started and fix the problem that has been bugging you for ages, and, by extension, finish the job quickly, so you can ride again. But preparation is not only satisfying, but also essential if the job is to get done properly. Preparation should be in every rider's mindset approach to motorcycling, especially if you're planning on taking a long solo ride. Taking a day to make sure you have all the right parts and tools to hand will make the job much quicker when you do start, ensuring that it is done right and preventing the job from stalling because you don't have the right part or tool. This can extend the time taken to complete the job from a day to weeks when other things such as work and life get in the way. The longer the project is left on the bench, the more chance of something going missing or of you forgetting exactly how it came apart and how it should go back together again. 6 do. Go round the bike with tools to make sure everything is tight. Old British bikes vibrate an awful lot, and nuts and bolts are always coming loose, which is okay if you catch them early enough, but the clatter of something falling off through inattention is all too familiar to riders of classic bikes. Modern bikes and fastener technology have largely eliminated this problem, but still, nuts and bolts will find a way of coming undone given half the chance. Going around your bike every once in a while with a set of spanners and other tools achieves 3 things. You'll detect anything that has started to come loose before it has time to come completely undone. You might spot something else that is failing, such as a wire or brake line that is about to chafe through, and you'll familiarize yourself with your bike in a way you'll never do when simply riding it. 5. Don't assume you know what the problem is. The worst thing you can ever do is assume you know everything. This will prevent you from listening to advice from those who do know. Pride is your enemy here, but swallow it and listen to an expert, who will be only too happy to pass on hard-earned experience if they see you are genuine and willing to listen and learn. Even if you are 99% certain you know what the problem is, it's always good to check, something that is made infinitely easier today with the internet. But you'll have to be careful, as not everything that you will read will be accurate, and neither will every expert be what they claim to be, but you'll soon learn to distinguish the genuine from the BS. 4. Do check tire pressures regularly. Think about it. On a bike, you have 2 tiny contact patches through the tires to the road, and the condition of the tires is therefore much more important than on a car, where there are 4 large contact patches. Obviously, having enough tread for legality is important, but more important is making sure the tires are at the right pressure. Too low and there is more rolling resistance, which increases the chance of tire failure due to the buildup of heat and damage to the sidewalls. Never mind the fact that it will feel as if you are riding on ice as the tire deforms in corners and plays havoc with your gas mileage. Too hard and the contact patch and therefore grip will be reduced even further. Again, tire manufacturers have spent millions of dollars perfecting their product, so why compromise its performance and benefits with the wrong pressure? The wrong tire pressure will also impact your motorcycle's braking performance, and render that cutting-edge brake system all but useless. 3. Don't tackle a job that's too big for you. Again, it is tempting to think that you have the time, skill, tools, and space to tackle any job on your motorcycle. Be completely honest with yourself and make a clear assessment of your ability before you start stripping that engine down. Maybe you did successfully rebuild your 1966 Triumph in 1972. The thing is, though, modern engines are infinitely more complex, with a million potential pitfalls if you really don't know what you are doing. Yes, giving your bike to an expert will cost more than doing it yourself in the short term, but, in the long term, it will save you a ton of money and ensure the job is done properly the first time. 2. Do keep a record of every job you carry out and the money you spend. You maintain your bike to not only make it safe and enjoyable for you and your eventual passenger, but also to help it keep its value when you come to sell it. You can tell the prospective new owner everything you have done to maintain the bike, but how much more convincing to show him a sheaf of receipts and a log of everything you or professional mechanic has done. Producing those will convince the buyer that you really have cared for your bike, and he will be more likely to buy it for what you are asking, rather than beating you down to his advantage and against yours. 1. Don't use the wrong parts. Yeah, that air filter looks almost the same as the one you've just taken out, so it should be alright, shouldn't it? Those brake pads seem to be the same shape, so they'll be just as effective, won't they? The simple answer to both those scenarios is, number. Manufacturers don't spend millions of dollars configuring the mechanical specifications of a motorcycle, so you can ruin everything by fitting the wrong parts. Okay, an air filter might only blunt the performance of the engine, but the wrong brake pads could mean an expensive and painful episode. Like any good piece of machinery, the parts should all work together in harmony if the bike is to have a long and productive life. Thanks for watching. Please do comment, like and share the video.